How many governor's races are Republicans and Democrats going to win across the country in the 2026 midterms? That's the question that we're going to attempt to answer in today's video. Before we get into the video, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you're interested in joining the channel as a member, you can do that for just $1.99 a month. And that has some amazing perks that you can check into down below. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into the video. So I want to start by characterizing states that I believe Democrats are going to win by a substantial margin. These are safe Democratic states. So states that are going to go to the Democratic Party by over 15 percentage points on election night. These shouldn't necessarily surprise really anyone. These are states that are pretty solid Democrat, other than one state that I'm going to talk a bit more about in just a moment, and that's the state of Pennsylvania. The state of Pennsylvania is a really fascinating state, one that Donald Trump won back in 2024, but Josh Shapiro won the governor's race by nearly 15% the last time he was on the ballot, and we expect him to overperform that margin in 2026, winning this race by over 15%, putting it in the safe Democratic column. That's going to lead us into the Republican states that I characterize as safe Republican. And these are states like Idaho and Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Alabama, Florida, actually not Florida, my apologies, the state of Tennessee, and the state of Vermont. These are states that I believe Republicans are going to win overwhelmingly in the governor's races across the country. Vermont, of course, Phil Scott running in the state of Vermont, winning that is very likely to win that governor's race, and that won't necessarily be a surprise to many people. So if you're wondering why Vermont's red, look into Phil Scott. That's what I can encourage you to do on that note. So with that said, I think that brings us to all of the safe Republican and safe Democratic states as of today at the end of August when I'm filming this video. That's going to lead us into likely Democrat and likely Republican states. So likely Democrat and likely Republican states are characterized as states that are going to the Republicans or Democrats by anywhere from 5 to 15%. So overall, the full expectation is that Democrats win these races by a pretty substantial margin, but just not quite safe Democrat or safe Republican, not over 15%. First state I want to talk about is the state of Michigan. Jocelyn Benson has run a really great campaign there, and right now she's fully expected to win, according to VoteHub, by roughly 8% across the state of Michigan, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's even more than that. Jocelyn Benson's going to win the state of Michigan, putting this in a likely Democratic column. The next state I want to talk about is the state of Maine, where we also expect Democrats to perform well here and win the state of Maine by about 11.5%, according to VoteHub. I would say there's a chance it's slightly closer, but there's also a chance that this extends. Right now, Democrats on track to win it somewhere between 10 and what I would say is 13% across the state in 2026. So that brings us to we covered the state of Michigan and covered the state of Maine. That brings us to the state of Arizona, where I also think that Democrats are going to win this by a substantial margin. If we look back at the 2022 midterm elections, you'll know that Katie Hobbs ran against Carrie Lake back then and narrowly won the race, but I don't expect that in 2026. I expect Katie Hobbs to win this race by a substantial margin. According to VoteHub, she's sitting at about 8.7% margin of victory across the state of Arizona. I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if it's a bit more. I would be surprised if it's a double-digit victory on election night, but I'm not going to be surprised if it's 8%, 9%, somewhere around that area, which puts it in the likely Democratic column. And that gives us all of the states that we characterize as likely Democratic states. And that's going to move us into likely Republican states, which is a little bit different. These are states like South Carolina, Florida, and Texas. These are the three states that I really feel comfortable as of today, and New Hampshire, my apologies, characterizing as likely Republican states. If we go to VoteHub's margins, Greg Abbott expected to win the state of Texas by 10%. While I think this race is going to slim up with James Tallarico and Ken Paxton and their debate and not their debate, but their, back and forth and this race really being close across the state of Texas, I don't think that Gina Hinojosa wins it, and I don't necessarily think she comes super close to winning it. I think she's still going to lose this race by over 5%. Probably on election night, I would say Greg Abbott wins by maybe 7%, 8%. I definitely don't think it's 10% across the state. South Carolina, Alan Wilson expected to win by 11.3%, and in Florida, Byron Donalds is expected to defeat David Jolly by 7.6%, according to VoteHub's average. While I don't necessarily know that I fully agree with that, I think he could overperform this margin, maybe 8-9 points, or he could underperform it, maybe 6 or 7 points. I don't think he wins this race like Ron DeSantis did back in 2022 by nearly 20%. I just don't think that's going to happen. It's not going to be safe Republican, but likely Republican across the state of Florida. New Hampshire, not a surprise here. We expect the Republicans to win this race by 9.5% across the state of New Hampshire as well. Not really a close state that we're looking at in the governor's races for 2026. So that leads us to the lean Republican and lean Democratic states. I'll start by talking about lean Democratic states, and these are states that are going to go to each party by 1 to 5%. So I'm going to start by talking about the state of Iowa. Iowa is going to go to the Democrats. Rob Sands going to win this governor's race by, right now, VoteHub predicts 4.3%. I'm not going to be surprised if by November he is in the likely Democratic column. But as of today, I'm not necessarily fully comfortable characterizing it there. I think Rob Sands wins this race by probably 3 or 4% across the state of Iowa and ultimately puts it in the lean Democratic column. In Wisconsin, similar situation, but not the same. David Crowley fully expected to win this race against Tom Tiffany, and Democrats are encouraged with David Crowley as opposed to Hong, who was expected to win this primary but ultimately did not win it. David Crowley went on to win the Democratic primary across the state of Wisconsin and is on track to be the next governor across the state and is expected to win by probably 4% on average. VoteHub says 4.4%, somewhere around there. I would fully expect David Crowley to win this race. That keeps Democrats in the lean Democratic margin for the state of Wisconsin as well. And that's going to put us at 24 to 21 with a few other races to talk about. And one other one that I want to talk about that I think also is going to go to the Democrats by this lean margin is going to be the state of Georgia. I think that Keisha Lance Bottoms is going to win this race. It's not going to be nearly as big of a margin as the race for Senate is going to be. Jon Ossoff's going to absolutely win that race by a substantial margin against Mike Collins, and I actually think that's what's going to help Keisha Lance Bottoms here pull over the top. I think she'll win by probably a couple of percentage points on election night. She's going to defeat Rick Jackson and become a Democratic governor across the state of Georgia, something that Democrats have been attempting to do for quite some time. They had Stacey Abrams back in 2018. Attempt to win the race, came very close. She ran again in 2022. Ultimately, didn't win that race, but 2026 might just be the year. Keisha Lance Bottoms might win the governor's race, and as of today, I predict she will, by a lean Democratic margin in the state of Georgia. That leads us to lean Republican margins. These are states like Kansas, which has flipped from my last video, not from Democrat to Republican, but from likely Republican to lean Republican. If we look at VoteHub's margin, they predict that Ty Masterson wins this race by 6.3%. I actually think it's closer. I think Cindy Holscher is going to continue to chip away at this lead that Ty Masterson currently holds, and I think Cindy Holscher ultimately brings this into a lean Republican victory for Ty Masterson. Still a win, but Democrats are certainly going to chip away at that lead that he currently has, and I believe that for that reason, this is a lean Republican state. In Alaska and in Nevada, I believe we'll start with Nevada. I believe Joe Lombardo is going to win this race. Aaron Ford, a good candidate, but ultimately just not going to be the time that he's going to win statewide in Nevada. I just don't believe it's going to happen. I believe Joe Lombardo wins re-election here. He won back in 2022. I think he'll win re-election in 2026. I don't think it's going to be as big of a margin as what VoteHub predicts 3.3% currently. I think maybe 1 to 2% is probably an accurate statement. And Alaska is going to be another interesting state where Mary Peltola has really changed the trajectory of the race on the Senate level, but the governor's level isn't something we've talked a lot about. But it's ultimately still going to be a closer race than a lot of people are paying attention to and a lot of people are realizing. Republicans still going to win the state, in my personal opinion at this moment, by a lean Republican margin, anywhere from 1 to 5%, both in the states of Nevada and in the state of Alaska. That's going to leave us with the last state to talk about in today's video, and the one state that I've had a tough time characterizing in today's video as well. The state of Ohio. In the last video, I had this as a tilt Democratic state, and I've debated switching it to a tilt Republican, but ultimately, I just don't think the odds are in Vivek Ramaswamy's favor. I think Amy Acton wins this race on election night, and I think she wins it by a very slim margin. So I think tilt Democrat is the accurate statement across the state of Ohio, but I'm also interested to see what happens with Sherrod Brown, and if he can win, how large is his victory? Does it help Amy Acton pull out a victory in the state of Ohio against Vivek Ramaswamy? Of course, Vivek Ramaswamy, not this great candidate. I mean, if we're being honest, just not a great candidate. I mean, not a horrible candidate. It's not like a Ken Paxton in Texas, but certainly not the best candidate Ohio could have got for the GOP to run on this governor's level. And for that reason, I think Democrats actually win the state of Ohio in the 2026 midterm elections. I believe Amy Acton going to be on track to win this race. Very slim margin, but I still have this going to the Democrats given the environment, given the fact that in a lot of cases, Sherrod Brown's may be expected to win this race for Ohio Senate. And I think it might actually happen. I think the governor's level that we might see Amy Acton become governor of Ohio after the 2026 midterms. So this is the map. The flips that we have from the 2022 governor cycle is going to be the state of Iowa, which Democrats flip. The state of Ohio, Democrats also flip. And the state of Georgia, they also flip. The flip for Republicans is going to come out of the state of Kansas, where Republicans are expected to win that race and flip it from the Democrat currently holding the governor's mansion in the state of Kansas. So with this all said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you agree or disagree with any of my predictions? Let me know what you guys think. I love reading through your thoughts and replying to you guys as well. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Check out another video on the right of your screen right now. You can subscribe to the channel. It's made easy on your left. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys again so much for watching.